Good evening and welcome to tonight's latest news bulletin, coming to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The National Committee for Family Affairs reviews the Qatari program plan between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and UNICEF. Specialized medical treatment at the Royal Hospital succeeds in performing a complex and rare interventional catheterization procedure. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq issued Royal Decree number 84/2023 on re-regulating Oman Development Bank. Article 1. The name of the Oman Development Bank shall be changed to the Development Bank, and provisions of the attached system shall apply to it. Article 2. The Development Bank shall prepare its regulation or system in accordance with provisions of the Commercial Companies Law. Article 3. The provisions of this decree and the attached system shall not prejudice the rights and obligations arising before the date of its implementation. Article 4. The Minister of Finance issues the executive regulation for the attached system and the decisions necessary to implement it, and until it is issued, the current regulations and decisions shall be applicable in a way that does not contradict with the provisions of this decree and the attached system. Article 5 cancels all that contradicts with this decree and the attached system or contravenes with their provisions. Article 6. This decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into effect from the following day of its issue. Within the framework of the Sultanate of Oman's interest in current issues on the regional and international arenas, His Excellency General Sultan bin Mohammed Al Nu'mani, Minister of the Royal Office, received Her Excellency Barbara Leaf, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs, and her accompanying delegation. At the beginning of the interview, His Excellency the Minister of the Royal Office welcomed the guest. For her part, Her Excellency expressed her thanks and appreciation to the Sultanate of Oman and what would strengthen the frameworks of existing cooperation between the two friendly countries. During the meeting, a number of issues on the regional and international arenas were reviewed, and a number of matters of common interest were touched upon, in addition to reviewing the process of historical relations that bind the two sides and developing them in a way that achieves common interest between the Sultanate of Oman and the United States of America. The National Committee for Family Affairs reviewed during its second meeting for this year the Qatari program plan between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF for the year 2024 and 2025. During the meeting, the website of the committee was launched. Minutes of the first meeting were ratified, and the recommendations and decisions of previous meetings were implemented, besides discussing some family issues. The meeting was chaired by Her Excellency Dr. Laila bint Ahmed Al-Najjar, Minister of Social Development, chairperson of the committee. The annual ceremony of the Holy Quran competition for the academic year 2022 and 2023 was held in Muscat. During the ceremony, the winners were honored in all 5 levels of the competition, as well as the educational governorates winning first places. The ceremony was held under the auspices of His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Saeed Al-Ma'mari, Minister of Endowments and Religious Affairs. The Imam Jabir bin Zaid Endowments Foundation launched the visual identity for the Ghiras Endowment Investment. More details in the following report. The Imam Jabir bin Zaid Endowment Foundation launched the Ghiras Endowment Investments Fund with the aim of creating and facilitating investments environment for endowments. The ceremony was held in the presence of His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Salim Al Salmi, Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Market Authority, and was attended by Their Excellencies, senior officials, members of the Board of Directors, and those interested in the endowments. The establishments of the Ghiras Endowment Investments Fund comes to simplify investments operations operations by creating an investments pool that includes all endowments and is based on the principles of Islamic Sharia, governance, and complete transparency.
Today we are revealing the identity of Ghiras Waqf Foundation Investment Fund, and basically the idea came from the need of the endowment sector in Oman to invest the assets, the liquid money they have, and basically it will serve the community, number one, and all the targeted people. And this is basically reflect the strategy of Imam Jaber bin Zaid Waqf Foundation, where we believe that the community has to collaborate in forming or finding the best investment solutions that will reflect also the 2040 Oman vision.
The Ghiras Endowments Investments Fund is an open-ended endowment offered for private subscriptions and aims to distribute permanent income from the net proceeds received from the fund for the benefit of investors. The fund also provides the feature of diversifying the endowment portfolio with high efficiency in a way that benefits the endowment, the donor, and the beneficiary through investing in multiple assets.
The Ras Fund will be the first in its kind as an endowment fund in the Sultanate, and it will be diverted from the traditional sorts of endowments. The asset classes of the fund will be in the fixed income instruments that are Sharia compliant, along with the Sharia compliant stocks. So what distinguishes again Ghiras Fund as an endowment fund, it will be very liquid in nature. It will be involved in the capital markets, unlike the traditional ways of endowments.
It's worth mentioning that the Ghiras Endowment Investments Fund reflects the principles of endowment partnership as it provides an opportunity for other endowments to invest. The fund is characterized by a sound legal framework that is compatible with the principles of Islamic Sharia and will provide room for income diversification and will help achieve financial sustainability of endowment assets. In a new medical and scientific achievement added to the health sector in the Sultanate of Oman, a specialized medical team at the Royal Hospital succeeded in performing a complex and rare interventional catheterization procedure for a 70-year-old patient suffering from the congenital deformities of the aortic valve. Over time, it led to severe narrowing of the valve opening accompanied by advanced cardiomyopathy, which resulted in surgical treatment being impossible due to the complexities and challenges that accompanied the condition. The proceedings of the procedure were broadcast via live broadcast and direct television link to the conference hall of the Gulf Society for Interventional and Structural Cardiac Catheterization held in Dubai, UAE. It is considered the largest gathering for intervention and structural cardiac catheterization in which a number of experts and specialists at the global level participated. His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Masoud Al-Sunaidi, Chairman of the Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones, received His Excellency Hujjatullah Abdul Malik, Advisor to the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran and Secretary of the High Council for Free Trade, Industrial and Special Economic Zones, and his accompanying delegation, who is currently visiting the Sultanate of Oman. During the interview, they discussed ways of activating the provisions of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the two countries, especially in the field of encouraging companies operating in economic zones and free zones in order to build commercial relations, establish their branches and establish joint projects. The Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones signed a Memorandum of Understanding during this year with the High Council for Free Trade, Industrial and Special Economic Zones in Iran in the field of encouraging economic and investments development and enhancing the competitive advantages of special economic zones and free zones in the two countries. The health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza said today that 12 people were killed in an Israeli occupation forces strike on a hospital in northern Gaza. The ministry spokesman said that the 12, including wounded patients and their companions, were killed and dozens wounded as a result of the Israeli occupation targeting the Indonesian hospital. He added that around 700 people remain at the hospital where they are being besieged by Israeli forces. Gaza's Hamas-run government said at least 13,000 Palestinians have been killed, including at least 5,500 children, by unrelenting Israeli bombardment and air strikes. China is willing to work with the Arab and Islamic countries to push for the early ceasefire in Gaza, its foreign ministry said today as a delegation visited Beijing on the first leg of a tour to push for an end to hostilities and to allow humanitarian aid into the devastated Palestinian enclave. The delegation, which is set to meet officials representing each of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, is also appealing pressure on the West to reject Israel's justification of its actions against Palestinians as self-defense. The officials holding meetings with China's top diplomatic Wang Yi today are from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, Palestine, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, among others. 2 people were killed earlier today after Russian forces shelled a parking lot in the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, authorities said. Regional prosecutors opened a war crimes investigation into the artillery strike, which occurred at around 9 a.m. and injured 1 other person, the regional prosecutor's office reported. Kherson governor said the 2 dead were drivers for a private transport business. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The National Committee for Family Affairs reviews the Qatari program plan between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and UNICEF. And a specialized medical team at the Royal Hospital succeeds in performing a complex and rare interventional catheterization operation. And with that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and studios, it's good night.